In the US, Joe Biden has made a predictable choice as his running mate for the presidential election. Well, when I say predictable, this is a choice that's been widely tipped since that moment that Biden bowed at the altar of identity politics and promised that his running mate would be a woman, and in particular, a woman of colour. California Senator and former Attorney General in that state, Kamala Harris, has featured strongly in speculation for months. She was one of the Melbourne Cup field who started out in the primaries early this year, contesting the Democrat nomination herself, but she flopped. As it happens, her most dramatic moment was when she brought Biden down a notch or two over his much vaunted anti-racism and civil rights credentials.
I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Ouch. Now they are a team. Biden announced his running mate in a series of emails and social media posts. And this tweet from Biden's photographer shows that when Biden Skyped Harris to make the formal offer, he had speaking notes. There they are underneath his phone. The notes say this is his first presidential decision. They talk about winning back the soul of the country, and they list 3 reasons he chose Harris. Nothing like a bit of spontaneity, hey? Of course, this is another trigger for those questioning Biden's mental capacity, which, of course, is exactly why the Veep choice is so important. And just on that, with Biden coming under a bit of criticism these days, have a look at how the left media in the US is standing up for him again. I showed you the other day how they reckon pictures of him riding a bike proves he's up to the job. Now they reckon he's getting a rough deal from the media.
When you see entire media companies essentially exist to tear down Joe Biden, is there an equivalent to that on the left tearing down Trump?
There really isn't. And, you know, what I would say, it's really a diet of this type of information that a lot of these voters are getting. A lot of the voters that I talk to, I can, you know, when I interview them, I do hear them saying a lot of the talking points that sound very familiar from some of these shows, which I try to listen to.
Hello? They can't think of a media organisation opposed to Trump? No journalists attacking Trump or barracking for Biden? What universe do these guys live in? They could start by watching their own station, of course, and then all the mainstream network news outfits and the Washington Post and the New York Times and all the rest of it, for CNN to seriously suggest that Trump does not receive enough media criticism shows just how divorced from reality they are. Anyway, what about Kamala Harris, who, of course, CNN lauds? The point right now is that Biden is favoured by the polls to be the next president. Long way to go, but certainly he's well ahead in the polls now. In which case, of course, Harris would be America's first female vice president, a woman of colour to boot. That's some slice of history. So come next year, Harris could be a heartbeat away from the US presidency. And more than half of Americans recently polled think Biden wouldn't serve out a full term anyway. So whatever way you slice it, and with all sorts of eventualities possible, the reality is that we will all want to know a lot more about Kamala Harris, because after today, she is well placed. She's on a rails run, in fact, to one day become the first female president of the United States.